everyone. Guess what this song is? Anybody who's ever been to a baseball game, or even if you haven't been to one, would recognize this song. Baseball has its own song called Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So I picked that song for you because we have some people who are very much into sports around here. I'm Alexandra. I'm in Pleasanton, California. We at Music in May love playing for our students, and this year we're so happy to come to you from our own homes. We have in this house 3 boys, my husband, 2 small dogs, and 1 cat. So it's a very full house. Someone's asking me a question. It says, when did I know I wanted to become a classical musician? That's a very good question. I was exposed to music as a toddler when my parents would play the piano and I would be on top of the piano sitting up there learning these songs and singing them with my parents. Then going into elementary school, my favorite classes were music related. We learned how to read music, rhythms, as well as many different songs and lyrics, and it was my favorite time at school. Right around the same time, I was taking lessons. And around 3rd grade, I watched this very sad show, documentary on TV, about war families who were split up, coming together for the very first time. So as you can imagine, emotions were running very high. They were feeling sad and happy at the same time. And that word, bittersweet, became my favorite word when I realized it was very easy to express that through music. While I was playing lots of songs, thinking about these people, I recognized that music was a helpful thing in society. It brought people joy, happiness, and comfort. And when I recognized that, that's when I wanted to become a classical musician. So I want to share my instrument with you now. My instrument is called the viola, and it looks like this. You might notice it is very similar to Rebecca and Juan's violin, and you are right. It is the older sister of the violin. If the violin is a soprano voice and a human voice, mine would be the alto voice. It is slightly lower. And it's also slightly larger than a violin. And then back here, I happen to have a cello. So that's even bigger. See? So the viola looks very similar to the violin and the cello. We have the beautiful scroll and the 4 pegs that go up and down to tune the 4 strings. I have A, D, G, and C strings that are lower than the violin strings, and they are held up in the middle by a thing called the bridge right there. And it goes all the way to this tail piece that gets held at the bottom here with this button. And then I've got my chin rest and a shoulder rest. A lot of people ask me about the shape of my instrument because compared to the regular shape, it has this cutout and it is slightly different. The corners are slightly different and the bottom is much wider. Well, my instrument maker who lives in Pennsylvania decided to make this instrument in the shape of an old Baroque instrument. It's called viola d'amore. And people still play that instrument, but they were beautiful Baroque instruments and they looked like this. And people liked it so much that he stuck with the shape. We play the viola the same way as the violin and the cello and the double bass, of course, using a bow that has horsetail hair. And we put rosin on the hair so it becomes sticky, and we play it on the strings by drawing the bow. We can also play by plucking the strings. Those are called the pizzicatos. So that is my instrument for you, the viola. So let me guess. You guys know all about harmony and melody. And those of you who remember what they are, very well done. Melody is the top main voice of a song. And harmony is all the harmonious notes that go together that fill the middle and the bottom parts of music. Well, I want to tell you about rhythm and tempo today. Rhythm is the one element in music that is so important. You couldn't have music without rhythm. It is indispensable. Melody and harmony couldn't exist without rhythm. Yet, rhythm can exist all by itself. For example, in drumming, or clapping, or just tapping, those are all rhythms. We keep these rhythms by following a steady pulse called beats. They're just like our heartbeats that go on throughout a piece of music. And we insert our rhythms into these times. A lot of the times, a conductor of a choir or an orchestra will keep this beat for us. And that's when we insert our rhythms into those beats. And depending on how fast and slow these beats are, those are called the tempo of a music or a song. I'm sure you guys have danced your floss dance. I can't really do it personally, but you can do that very fast or a medium tempo. Those tempos are the speeds of the beats. So when you're dancing very fast to a fast music, that music has a very fast tempo. When you're dancing slowly to a very slow piece of music, that piece has a very slow tempo. If all our different rhythms had colors, they would look like this. And here are some common rhythms in Western music. The first beat is always strong. You see this one with the feather? It's a special first strong beat. And all the other beats follow this strong beat. So here are the common ones. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like a waltz dance. And then lastly, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. So those are some of our common rhythms in Western music. I wonder what would happen if I sped up the tempo of my speech.
If this guy turned into an actual musical notation, it would look something like this on a piece of music. All our rhythms are just like math. It is just a different way for musicians to count. So a whole note gets 4 counts, half notes get 2 counts, quarters get 1 count each, and 1 quarter can split into 2 eighth notes, and 1 eighth note can split into 2 16th notes.
That's really funny. it really didn't make any difference for me because I speak so slowly. Oh well, let's take a look at some words because words can have rhythms. And these are some words from coronavirus days right now. Lockdown, quarantine, pandemic. And if you say them deliberately, they become rhythm. Lockdown, lockdown, quarantine, pandemic, and here's one of my favorites, toilet paper, toilet paper. Can you imagine following your parents around and you're going, hey mom, can you pass me some toilet paper, toilet paper? I would not recommend that. Here's flattening the curve, and I need a hug. And here's the funny one. It's just long whole note. Help. Whole note is 4 beats. So it's one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you hold that whole thing for 4 beats. Here's something more complicated. Shelter in place. Shelter in place. 1, 2, 3, 1. And then one of my other favorites, hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer. 2 more. Social distancing. Everyone is doing this right now. And then lastly, coronavirus. 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 I hope you guys learned something new about rhythm and tempo today. I know this is a very uncertain times that we're facing right now, but I think it's important for you to keep optimistic, be super happy and positive. And I hope you take this opportunity to spend some good quality time with your families. And until we see each other again, thank you so much. And here's a movement of Bach.